You're the best employee on the team. You always deliver on time, never complain, and solve problems without making a scene. And what do you get as a reward? More work. Meanwhile, that colleague who's always complaining, questioning everything, always has an excuse, is leaving on time, taking vacations without worry, and nobody bothers them. Does it seem unfair? It is. But it's not an accident. It's a documented scientific pattern that's destroying the best professionals in the market. Research published in the Journal of Organizational Behavior followed 5,000 employees for 2 years and discovered something shocking. Professionals who never complain work, on average, 40% more hours than colleagues who regularly complain. 40%. That's the difference between leaving at 6 or 9 at night, between having weekends off or working Saturdays. And the worst part, your silent competence isn't helping you advance. It's leading you to burnout. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the perverse psychology behind this, and more importantly, how to break this cycle without becoming the problematic employee nobody wants on the team. Let me explain exactly why this happens to you. It's not because your boss is bad. It's not because he hates you. In fact, it's the opposite. You're overloaded because you're reliable. And reliability in a manager's mind means one thing: the path of least resistance. When an urgent demand arises, your boss has 2 options. Give it to the employee who will deliver without problems, or give it to the employee who will question, complain, ask for clarifications, maybe even deliver poorly or late. Which one do you think he chooses? Obviously, he chooses you. Every time. Not because you're better, but because you're easier. And every time you accept without resistance, you're training your boss to come back to you. Basic behavioral psychology. Behaviors that are rewarded are repeated. When you accept an absurd demand and still deliver with quality, you've just rewarded your boss for exploiting you. And what does he do? He exploits you again. Meanwhile, the colleague who complained, who questioned the deadline, who asked for help, who made a scene, he punished the behavior of overloading. And the boss unconsciously learns. It's easier not to give it to him. But don't just take my word for it. I'll show you the exact numbers. The study I mentioned from the Journal of Organizational Behavior didn't just measure hours worked. They measured quality of work, performance reviews, promotions, and even stress levels. And the results are disturbing. Silent employees work 40% more hours, but receive only 12% more in formal recognition. In other words, you work almost half as much, but your boss only recognizes 1/10 of that extra effort. Worse. When it came to promotions, employees who set verbal boundaries were promoted 28% faster than the silent ones. Wait, how so? Those who complain rise faster? Exactly. Because managers interpret boundaries as leadership. Someone who questions deadlines, negotiates resources, defends their team is showing strategic thinking. Someone who only accepts and executes is showing obedience. And companies don't promote obedience for leadership positions. They promote intelligent questioning. But here's the part that revolts me the most. Silent employees showed 67% more symptoms of burnout than vocal ones. 67%. Sleep problems, anxiety, physical symptoms, everything is on the rise. So to recap, you work more, are recognized less, promoted more slowly, and even get sick in the process. Meanwhile, your complaining colleague works less, climbs a ladder faster, and sleeps better at night. The system isn't broken. It's working perfectly. It's just not working for you. So why do managers do this? Why do they consistently overload the best employees and spare the problematic ones? The answer lies in a concept from cognitive psychology called the path of least resistance. Our brains are programmed to conserve energy. When we have multiple options to solve a problem, we unconsciously choose the one that requires the least cognitive and emotional effort. Your boss doesn't wake up thinking, I'm going to exploit the good employee today. He wakes up with 50 problems to solve. And when he needs to delegate, he doesn't even consciously think about it. He automatically goes to you because it's easy. There's no negotiation, no explanation, no risk of conflict. Just ask and it's solved. With the colleague who complains, you have to justify. You have to listen to questioning. You have to manage expectations. You have to deal with possible resistance. It's work. So his brain, without him realizing it, categorizes you as the easy solution and the other as a headache. And guess who receives more demands? The easy solution. Always. And there's more. This creates a vicious cycle. The more you accept, the more you are seen as the person who accepts. The more the other person complains, the more difficult they are seen as. And these categories become self-fulfilling prophecies. You become the team's official dumping ground for extra work. Not because you're the best, but because you're the most convenient. And the tragedy? You think you're building a reputation for being reliable. In reality, you're building a reputation as a doormat. So how do you get out of this trap without becoming the employee nobody wants on the team? The answer isn't to start complaining about everything. It's strategic complaining. There's a huge difference between being problematic and setting smart boundaries. I'll give you the exact framework. First, choose your battles. Don't question everything. Question what matters. If it's a 20-minute task, accept it. If it's something that will consume your weekend, question it. You want to be seen as someone who distinguishes real urgency from unnecessary overload, not as someone who complicates everything. Second, when questioning, always offer an alternative. Never just say no. Say, I can do this in 5 days with quality, or a simplified version in 2, which works best. You're showing strategic thinking, not laziness. Third, use data, not emotion. Instead of I'm overloaded, say, I currently have projects A, B, and C that total 60 hours. To include this, I need to pause one of them, which is the priority. You return the allocation decision to your boss, where it belongs. Fourth, document standards. If you notice that every Friday afternoon requests arrive for Monday, the next time it happens, respond, I've noticed this happens frequently. Can we define a process where urgent requests arrive by Thursday noon so I can plan better? You're proposing a system solution, not complaining about work. And fifth, most importantly, start small and be consistent. Don't try to change everything at once. Choose one situation per week to establish boundaries. Your boss will gradually recalibrate their perception. In 3 months, you're no longer the path of least resistance, but you're not the problematic one either. You're the professional with standards. Now, the critical difference you need to understand. Strategic complaining builds respect. Toxic complaining destroys careers. How to distinguish them. Strategic complaining is about process and solutions. This deadline is challenging. How can we divide deliverables? Is strategic. This deadline is impossible. You don't understand anything is toxic. Do you see the difference? One identifies a problem and seeks a solution. The other attacks and ends a conversation. Second, strategic complaining is based on facts. This project requires 40 hours, and I have 20 available this week. Is strategic. You always overload me is toxic. One brings numbers. The other brings emotional generalizations. Third, strategic complaining maintains relationships. You question the demand, not the person. I need to understand priority of this versus Project X is strategic. You don't know how to manage the team is toxic. One focuses on the work. The other attacks character. Fourth, strategic complaining is consistent, not reactive. You establish standards from the beginning. You don't explode after accumulating. That colleague who seems to complain about everything, they're doing it wrong. The promoted person who sets limits, they're doing it right. The difference is in the approach. And fifth, strategic complaining offers contribution. I can do half now and half next week, so we can achieve better quality versus I won't be able to do that. One shows you want the best result. The other shows you just want less work. Managers respect the first. The second marks you as a problem. Remember, the goal is not to work less out of laziness. The goal is to work sustainably so you deliver long-term excellence, not short-term burnout mediocrity. So, to recap, silent employees work 40% harder, are recognized 12% more often, promoted 28% slower, and experience 67% more burnout. Your complaining colleague isn't problematic. They just understood the game before you. The path of least resistance is turning you into the team's work dump, and the solution isn't becoming toxic. It's strategic complaining. Choose your battles. Offer alternatives. Use data. Document patterns. Be consistent. Start this week. Choose one situation to set boundaries professionally. And come back here in the comments. Right? I set boundaries. When you do, I'll be responding to everyone. If this video made you realize you're on the wrong side of the paradox, leave a like. If you know someone who is exploited for being too competent, share it. Subscribe to the channel for more workplace psychology every week. Your competence is your greatest asset. Don't let it become your greatest weakness.